Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're calling in from all around the world. I want to thank you for joining us and it's my absolute delight to welcome back Grandmother Floredayo to our urgent call from the spirit of the feminine, honoring the day of Ish. Before I reintroduce you and bring back Grandmother Floredayo to the sacred space of our webinar, our virtual sacred space, I'm going to get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. We'll just start by reminding you that Grandmother Floredayo loves your questions. And so if you would like to drop in a message, if you take your cursor to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box. You'll also see a chat window. Both of them get to me. I don't know what the difference is. So you can chat your questions or your answers to Grandmother Floredayo. And also, you can come back and watch this call because it is being recorded. Now it is my delight to welcome back Grandmother Floredayo, who is the founding member of the Confederation of Indigenous Elders of the American Institute of Natural and Traditional Knowledge, Church of the Spiritual Path, founding member of the Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, and founding member of the Path. Grandmother is a healer of the divine spirit and a seer with an ability to see the realms and the effects of color, light, and sound. Grandmother was born under the sign of the seed, and many years ago, Grandmother received a vision to raise the spiritual consciousness between us humans and Mother Earth, resulting in creating the nonprofit, The Path, whose mission is to conserve and distribute seeds to future generations. She's also the caretaker of 40 acres in New Mexico, where many activities and ceremonies take place. And we actually, on our previous calls over the last year, the deep wisdom Grandmother's given us, it felt like years of wisdom, but we're just coming to close the sacred hoop, if you will, of one whole year of being with Grandmother Floredayo. And one of our previous calls, we actually got a virtual tour of the property. And so I encourage you to go back and watch that call. And I'm going to send you all kinds of information along with the recording of this call when we're complete here today. But for now, it's my delight to introduce you to Grandmother Floredayo, who is also going to hopefully share a little bit more later in the call about her property and the path, and more information about the work that she's doing in the world. But for now, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, Grandmother Floredayo.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm so happy to be back. I'm happy to be here at this particular moment on this sacred day. Beloved Creator, Mother, Father, Heart of the heavens, Heart of the earth. Thank you for the beauty of the day, the beauty of the dawn, where you're bringing us, all of us together from the four directions at this beautiful, beautiful moment, this beautiful day of Ish, the spirit of the sacred feminine, beloved Creator. Not only of the sacred feminine, but it teaches us the balance of all humanity between nature and us humans. Beloved Creator, on this sacred day, I ask of you, beloved Heart of the heavens, Heart of the earth, to guide me and to touch me, not only myself, but all of the people around the globe, everyone in the four directions, to touch us in our hearts so that we can receive the wisdom of the day through that place of love and light that dwells in the heart, beloved Creator. If you can help us, I ask of you to help us with that today, so that when we leave this particular time, this hour that we're spending together, that we can walk with the nourishment in our being, so that we can continue to walk in this sacred way of infinite balance with all creation, all of your creation, beloved Creator, the sacred elements, the water, the earth, the air, the fire, beloved Creator. so that we could become one and help, become the helpers, become those spiritual warriors that take things and pray about things, that we, through our prayers, can open the road and open the space for all of those that are making decisions on our sacred elements, for them to make good decisions. We have to keep the prayer going, because this is the only way. This is all that we have right now. What we have is our sacred prayers. And the more people that we find praying, the more strength that we have and find ourselves together. Beloved Creator, thank you for the beauty. Thank you for the moment. And I wish each and every one of you a beautiful day on this sacred day of Ish. Thank you so much. I'd like to say that I have enormous gratitude to Sandy and the organization for helping, for listening. A year ago, when I said to Sandy that I had received a mandate while I was home with my teacher, Don Alejandro, and I was told to put the teachings out to the masses. That was the message. Put the teachings out to the masses. And it was a mandate, because it was a spoken mandate that came through the spirit of the fire. And at the end of the fire ceremony, my teacher said to me, "Did you see the fire? Did you hear the fire?" And as a human, sometimes we don't, not so much that we don't understand, but it takes us a while for things to integrate. And so the integration happened in putting the word out. And certainly I've spoken to several people and several organizations before Sandy had answered and said, "Why don't you allow our organization, Compassion for girls and women, to help?" And it was the answer. And so for us as humans, when we receive something from the invisible realm, we should not think about it too much, but put it out there and allow the invisible beings to work with your prayers as you're putting these things forth. So today on this beautiful, beautiful sacred day of Ish, one of the reasons that we're getting together today, other than that we are in love with the spirit of the feminine, but just to share with everybody that whenever we start and we open a circle of prayer, as we did last year, when I say last year, I mean like the beginning of January, okay, because we're getting to the end of the year. So we spoke, Sandy and I, about a month ago, and I said, Sandy, whenever we open up a circle of prayer, we have to close the circle. This is what we do. So I said it would really, really be great if I could come on the last day of Ish in December and just close the circle. So this is what we're doing right now. We're bringing gratitude to the spirit of the feminine, the spirit of this relationship between men and women, children, the elderly, the babies, everybody. Not only humanity, but all of nature. You know, we are going to bring into the circle, and and feel the gratitude and all of the things that we learned in this past year, all the things that happened, the movement, the women coming out, circling up, speaking about incredible, incredible things that are in our hearts. And it is through the strength of the prayer that we keep moving this energy. We are the carriers of this, and so we need to keep on going. I want to thank everybody in the four directions, everybody around the globe that listened to the first talk, that listened to the other talks that were being done as time allowed me. There were times that on the day of Ish, I was busy doing some things where I was committed to doing, and I tried getting together with everybody, but then, every 20 days, I remembered to send the prayers out for this sacred relationship that we have with all of our sacred elements. Because for us, we're not separate at all from these elements. One of the things that the spirit of Ish teaches us is patience and action. These are written in our sacred text, and especially in our sacred teachings. So one of the things that we can take today is incredible patience, and through making things happen through our actions. I was just asking Sandy, when is the Women's March out here in New Mexico? Because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. Last year, I couldn't be at a march because I was busy and I couldn't get away. But this time I'm going to join. I'm going to join the women, and other than marching, I'm going to pray, because that's what I do. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to pray loud and clear, and support everybody around the globe with the prayers. I feel and I understand that the power of the prayers, and this is what we have as humans, is the prayer, and the prayers have incredible powers. And so coming together as warriors of the light, and women and men, children and elderly of prayer, because remember, it's not about like saying that it's only for women. It is the relationship between us, humanity, and the elements. Of course, the march is mostly females that are coming on, and that's really perfect, because it doesn't happen the way that it's been happening around the globe. Certainly, I don't know if this can happen in Central America. Maybe it could, but how beautiful it is that it's all over. And it would be interesting to see the other countries that come on the walk that were not there last year, to see how many women are coming on board. So I want to share with everybody that through this understanding of our relationship with nature, we come into this place of not feeling a separation, not feeling that we are so brilliant as humans that we're smarter than nature. It brings us into a place of humbleness, and it brings us into a place of respect, pretty much, of absolute respect. And so when we think about the no separation. We think about how we as humans cannot be separated from the air. We can't be separated from the water. We can't be separated from the earth. Certainly, we can't be separated from the spirit of the fire, which is the sun. And this is something that all living things need. And this is what we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. Fighting means bringing in awareness, not like fighting, the way the word translates. I think being bilingual, we kind of see words working in a different way, and sometimes they don't necessarily mean in the bluntness that it sounds sometimes in English. English, I find it to be, very rigid and very straight, but with the Spanish language, you can, move it in a certain way and tone it in a certain way that it becomes gentle and beautiful and sweet and pretty. And so, we're not talking about the other type of fighting. We're talking about raising our prayers and raising our voice, bringing the children into the circle, talking about the children, talking about our partners, male and female, how we need to keep protecting each other because we're part of the whole, all of that walks on the earth are children of the earth. All of those that are breathing the air are children of the air. All of those that need the water are children of the water. And all of us that sit under the sun are children of the sun. And we can't separate any of this. I don't understand where the separation happened. However, I did see something this week that got me thinking. And what I saw was, and I'm not exactly sure just where, it could have been like National Geographic's, but I'm not sure right now, where they were showing like in the 1400s how the forests in Europe were depleted because they were using all of the wood to build buildings and churches and all kinds of things. So it already started to deplete that long ago. And it was like an epidemic. It started out there and they had nothing else. And so they decided to go out and explore and go across the oceans and start looking for more stuff to exploit, in nature. And I was like, I never heard of anything like this. I was like, oh my goodness, this is something terrible that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And right now, sometimes I don't know if people really know when we started with this destruction and why is it that it's still continuing, and there are places that does not have a living tree anymore because it's gone. It's absolutely gone. Of course, the same thing has happened in Central America. I'm not saying that any other place is immune from any of this. It's an epidemic that's happening around the globe. And what is it about us humans that we need to destroy everything, get rid of every tree in the forest, pollute the waters to a point that there will be no more water life. It just doesn't make any sense. And then what are we going to do? Get into some kind of spaceship and go to another planet and start building another place to live outside of our beautiful Earth? Somehow I'm really attached to the Earth. And I love the beauty of the Earth. I love everything that is here. I'm a child of the mountains. I'm a child of the forest, a child of the ocean, a child of the rivers and streams. We have such beauty, and we are so, I don't know what the word would be in English, but maybe the closest thing is that we have been given such beauty that we should be so grateful, so grateful that we have these things for us to enjoy, for our children. And it is really painful to see these things, and I'm sure everybody has their story around the globe. I have my own stories. The beauty of Central America. The rivers are drying out there. The river in the little community where I lived dried quite some time ago. I don't know if it was 15, 20 years ago, but I remember as a child seeing it as a running river. And then I went back as an adult and I thought, what happened? And what happened was I was staring at this huge rock that my mom used to go and wash clothes on, this big rock. And it was a rock bed. And it was really sad to see that the children of the future are not going to be able to put their feet in the water and play in the water and become a child in the water. And so we have taken that away from the children of the future. We have to really put an action to our prayers and really do something collectively. So I invite each and every one of you to do something, whatever little bit that we can do. That'd be really wonderful.
Thank you, Grandmother. Yeah, this is, you brought up so many important points, and I'd like to bring us back to the original conversation that we had. And on that conversation, you told me what Ish meant and how it was symbolized on the Mayan calendar, what it meant according to the teachings of the Mayan calendar, and what the symbol was of Ish. You told me that it was the sign of the jaguar, this strong, powerful, feminine image of strength and agility, with the knowing, with the intelligence to know when to pounce, when to sit back, when to watch, how to walk lightly, and when to run fast. And for me, when you were just speaking about patience, that it's time to be still and calm, and it's a time to be in action. And that's a sacred dance to do. And to know that now is perhaps the most powerful time and important time for our power, I should rephrase that, to walk firmly and in the spirit of the feminine. I'm wondering if you can speak more about how to recognize that that power. You said that we don't always understand it, but I think we can recognize it, don't you? When we come back into membership with it, when something shows itself, which the environment, the climate crisis, the suffering that's happening all around the world at unprecedented measure right now, that we can certainly recognize now that it's time for that power to emerge in us. Can you speak a little bit about how to find that confidence, perhaps, or perhaps I'm simplifying it a little too much.
Simple is good. This is the way we understand it. Yeah.
Because I know that I'm wondering, do I have the power within myself? Is marching enough? Is praying enough? And I ask that question respectfully.
Yeah, that's it's a beautiful question. In the morning, we should bless ourselves. Asking the Creator to bless us, taking our hands and whispering in our hands and saying, beloved Creator, bless me today, and you bless yourself. Bless your total being. Bless your extremities, your heart, your back, your legs down, and come back into your heart. It's only through the heart that we can understand the power of love and compassion. Mm-hmm. Mm. It's not about the mind. It's not about deciphering anything. It's about coming within. When we could come within and make it into a practice on a daily basis, hourly basis, moment-to-moment basis, and begin to feel yourself falling in love with yourself. And when you feel that, you understand that you are not alone and that you have a connection between your heart and the heart of the heavens and the heart of the earth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it is through the heart that we can liberate ourselves and feel the freedom. It is through the heart that we can feel the cosmic love, the love of the beloved mother, and that we know that we are her children. I am a child of the goddess, and I am just so divine. Somebody said to me, how are you feeling today, Floredayo? And I looked at them and I said, oh, I am so divine. And the person looked at me and said, yeah, you're feeling divine. And I said, of course, I feel it and I am. So we have to express it. I don't know what she thought of me. It doesn't matter. I felt good saying, I am so divine.
Oh, yes, I am so divine. I invite everybody, wherever you are right now, to just say that to yourself.
Say to yourself, I am so divine. Yeah.
Right.
We're divine beings. We're children of the goddess. Mm-hmm. And we have to express it every day. And when we lose it, when we feel, oh my goodness, I'm so tired, I'm overwhelmed, and it's life. It's life. Go back into that place of the heart and you pray. And how do we pray? It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue between your inner feelings and the invisible, the great mystery, and you put it out there. The beauty of this is that when we express ourselves in silence, or when we express ourselves in our words and we start speaking to the divine, there's always an answer. However, the answer is not going to come in clutter. Okay? The answer is going to come in silence, when you are in silence. I have received the most profound messages when I am quiet, doing mundane things like cleaning up, where I'm not listening to anybody or anything. I'm just very happily quiet, cleaning, doing something. And then the divine voice would come. And how it would come, it would be like the way that I would speak to my creator. And he'll say, hey, Floredayo. And of course, I'm looking around for the voice. And then I find it to be very humorous that I would also do the same thing if I was, trying to get someone's attention and say, hey, I'm here. What are you doing?
One of the things I love that you do is that you get up very early in the morning, or some of us might consider very late.
I get up
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on weeks at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And people have said to me, what are you doing at that hour? And what am I doing? I'm listening. I'm listening for divine guidance, I'm listening, and I write things and I send them to my daughter for her to put them out. And I am receiving these beautiful, beautiful words. I'm sending out a word of gratitude at the end of the month tomorrow. And these were given to me at 1 o'clock in the morning. So what is it that I'm doing? I'm listening. But then at the same time, I'm in bed very early. No more eating after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm braiding my hair 7 o'clock. I am out. So I have had a good 7 hours of sleep. By 1 o'clock, I'm ready to go. It's all that it is. It's all that it is.
And you provide that space for you to put yourself in with an opportunity to be in quiet, silence.
That's right.
By doing that, and that's a beautiful pattern to be in. You in your answer to me, it is that simple. It is remembering that peace in the world starts with peace in the heart. It's what the Charter for Compassion is all about, reminding us that compassion is the clear, dynamic, and luminous force for a polarized world. And that just reminds us that to start with ourselves. And something else that you said was so profound that is, for me, a challenge to constantly remember. And that is the illusion of separateness, that we really are connected. And we fight this rhythm that we naturally have with the earth and with everyone and everything on the planet. We actually have a couple of comments here. Did you want to respond before I read to you the comments?
No, this is good. This is good. Let's listen to that.
Regarding your point about when did that separateness happen, there are social scientists and anthropologists who can go back thousands of years and say this happened when Earth became a commodity, which is what you experienced in that moment where you recognized that the trees were being were being, used and separate. And so now they're no longer part of us, or something that we can own and have power over rather than power with. And Dorothy, I'm sorry here. Vajra Ma says that she has some insight regarding the destruction of the separation of how it began, and she sees it as the original lie, which is the foundation of the patriarchal religions. The lie is that the spirit and the flesh are separate, and that the male creates the female, and that male God made a male, and from that made a female, and thus the subjugation of the female and the feminine of earth began. And so she also goes on to say that to get and gain power is the answer to that lie. Is why lie? And that's because of our desire for power over. Somehow we lost sight of humility and connection, which you are speaking about. And also, I will also add that Dorothy Joy Wilcox mentions here that she'd like to inform us of the work of the Tree Sisters. And so, by the way, I just want to drop in right here and say and remind everybody that I'm going to be sending out a recording and a report of all kinds of things that were mentioned on this call. So I'll include information about the Tree Sisters as well. Regarding that and bringing us back to the path, these 40 acres that you are the carekeeper of and the keeper of the seeds, there is, it looks like an anonymous comment here asking us to, asking you actually if you've received necessary donations to save the path and the seeds, and that thank you so much whoever sent this, that she sent a couple of donations of her own, and also including some friends here, and plus forwarded your email, thank you, to other email lists, and continues to pray for others to respond to your prayers and the necessity of saving mothers' seeds. So I don't know if you'd like to comment on all those things together. First, understanding that separateness coming from the power over concept, and then also please do talk about the path and the donation opportunities for the path.
Yeah, I want to say to everybody that I am so eternally grateful to all of those that listen to the cry. It was a literal cry on my part, because I had been working, and many people working, volunteers working, and we found ourselves with like $57 in our checking account to support everything. And we prayed and prayed and prayed, and we asked for legal guidance because it's a nonprofit, and we made the decision to give it a try, to let the world know that we can pray, we can do these things, but at the same time, there are things like paying for the taxes and all other bills that people have within their place where they live, their community, that we can't do without. And we had no more money to help us, support us monetarily. And I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart that send in all of the donations that have been received, and it is an enormous amount of help, because it is through your donation from the heart that is going to help us to get through for the next couple of years. where we're going to be able to continue to do the work that we're doing. It's the only way. I've been doing the prayer, and you've been doing the action. You've been sending your incredible donations. We have been working very, very hard, sending out thank you notes. I've been sending out a lot of handwritten notes. I've been sending out a lot of small little packages that were part of the perks with the fundraiser. All of these things are either in the mail or on their way. And so we are taking care of things as they come. And so I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart that, this is yours. This is your seed temple. This belongs to the world, and it belongs to the children. And thank you so, so much.
Grandmother, I just, while you were sharing that, I went and I found how a donation can be made, and I dropped it in the chat window for all of you all of you listeners. And that's at the followthegoldenpath.org, make a donation link that I just dropped in the chat window that you can see, to help Grandmother and the path, to help us all actually in the path. So thank you for that. And also, there is something else that we can share perhaps. And that, would that be all right, Grandmother, if I share?
Oh, yeah.
I'm so blessed to have received my own Ish. If I can show it to you here, I have a better way of showing it to you, actually. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show everybody this image. Here we go. Can you see that now? This is actually, it's about 1 inch. I've showed it to you. I actually haven't yet gotten a chain for mine. I keep it at my desk, and it always sits on my thumb for some reason. It brings me such power, especially when I need it. I always find it in my reach and have it, but I keep it on my desk where I spend more of my time. Grandmother, I think you're wearing one around your neck today, right?
I am wearing mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you. And you can purchase those also I'll send out a link on where everybody can get these. And you can also find them at the followthegoldenpath.org website.
These are the little totems of Ish. This represents us and the spirit of the feminine, and us being in balance with nature. Mm-hmm. This Ish is a sacred walk. It reminds us on the sacredness of everything that's around us. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful medallion. As I mentioned before on the first talk, the spirit of the cat, we're told that the female has that spirit, the spirit of the feline, and that her little spots translate to the heavenly body. And so when we wear the Ish, or we have it with us, it reminds us that we are not only terrestrial beings, but we're also celestial beings. And so it is, we hold in our hearts the knowledge of the cosmos and the knowledge of the earth. How sweet is that? So precious. Yeah. So we're making these little medallions available now that we are, to help the seed temple in the 40 acres, and, to join the Ish movement that we started a year ago, to continue to give us the strength and the creativity that we need between the universe and the earth.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And I can't tell you what profound power personally this has brought to me, reminding me when I'm out in the world, my tendency to pounce when perhaps it's best to lay back and watch and be patient. It has profound powers. And and like I said, it naturally fits right on my thumb. So I've been holding it this whole time for this call too. So thank you. I encourage everybody to find this online and get one. I would like to also mention your daughter, Heather Hall Dudley, has commented in response to answering the question if you've received the funds necessary. She responds that we don't yet know the total received until we reconcile all aspects of the fundraiser. But people can donate and can inquire how to volunteer also, or what's involved in growing seeds. And of course, offer prayers. And we encourage anyone to look within their own community about local seed banks and seed keepers. So thank you so much, Heather, for reminding us of that. We have a couple of comments with the remaining time. First, at the Charter for Compassion Women and Girls, we're so lucky to be surrounded by such incredible keepers of compassion. We call them ambassadors. They are the real leadership of our sector. And one of our lead ambassadors she's actually the co-director of Women and Girls in the Capital Region area. Her name is Brenda Gustin. She writes, I find that recognizing that we are the elements, how the human body is a microcosm of the microcosm, we can then collaborate with ourselves, open to our divinity, and share with all through our sacred breath, our link to our wholeness. Thank you so much for your loving wisdom and action, grandmother. So that's from Brenda Gustin. And also Deborah Friedland, who has been a dear friend of the Charter and mine personally through the interfaith work, and she's in Los Angeles. And she says that she's understanding that the cycle of Ish is culminating, and if so, what is the next cycle? Maybe she's not quite understanding this and wants to be clear. And so can you explain perhaps if this is a cycle? Is it a spiral? Are we actually evolving? Is each here to stay? Do we know that?
That's a very interesting question and very good question. And I really don't have an answer. You know, maybe when we meet again, I'll have an answer. I'm expecting to talk to my teacher and certainly the day keepers. These are the people that do the calendar, and we should be receiving a new calendar soon. Sometimes I've been told that sometimes the year carrier sometimes stays on for more than what we think of a year, and you know, these things I don't know definitely. So I will find out, because I'm also very curious to find out. But there's no reason why we cannot stay with the spirit of Ish and move on with it. I mean, how sweet is that? Yeah.
Thank you. I know it's risen in me. I'm sure we're all feeling it, men and women.
Yeah, we could stop everything by just concentrating on this, you know? Yeah.
You know so. Yes, thank you. Brenda asks a really powerful question. Is there a difference between the jaguar and the black panther?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Good answer.
Other than, you know, we're told that the jaguar with the spots, it represents the heavenly body. Now the panther is just one solid color. You know, that's the way that I'm thinking, but I don't know. Yeah. And if I have the time, I'll ask my elders this question, you know, what does the panther play? Or is the jaguar represents all feline? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. We have another comment here from Indrani Hawkins. She says, Florida Mile, thank you for giving us your time and your prayers and your guidance. And she looks forward to seeing you at the retreat this spring. That brings us back to the path and the importance of maintaining this property with our support, our volunteerism, our treasures that we can share, whether it means purchasing your own beautiful medallion to remind us of our power, or your donation on the link that I just sent you. And so thank you. Would you like to talk about some of the ceremony that you do at this property? And would you talk about the frogs? I think that's so beautiful what you do. You shared with us on a previous call that there's a water fixture there that is actually home to frogs from that part of New Mexico.
They're actually protected little critters. The word in Spanish is criatura, which is, a child of the earth. In Spanish, everything that is little and is alive is a criatura. And these little ones are protected little frogs. And when we started building the water temple and actually have moving water in this area, the wildlife has come. The water draws all life to come to it. And these little ones, sometimes they stay buried underground for many, many years. I've been told as many as like 10 years. And then they come out in the time of the monsoon. And so they felt the water that was there. And so they came out and laid their eggs. And so every year we get hundreds and hundreds of little babies that, come in and grow in that little pond. Of course, they're really, really teeny weeny little frogs. I mean, they're about the size of the tip of my pinky. And so when they leave the pond, they're so teeny weeny, and you wonder if they are going to survive because there's so much wildlife, and somehow they do. They survive. So this is one of the beauty that we have with the water temple. I'm going to be home this whole summer, and I'm going to again watch them be born and watch them grow and watch them leave again. All of this happens in July and September, this beautiful action of the baby frogs being born.
Oh, it really sounds beautiful and magical and providing a space for life. Dorothy Joy Wilcox, Altergot, I sure hope I'm getting these names close to right, and I apologize if I'm not. She writes, frogs are the symbol of abundance. Yay. So that's good to know, and perhaps we already knew that in our heart space. Perhaps that's why the question came up. Speaking of bringing us back to our personal power, and Heather would like us to talk about the Me Too movement. It's right here. It's an expression of the divine feminine showing up in a very powerful way, grandmother. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about that. You loved what someone said about a conversation with their sons. And that's what Heather just wrote me. I'm sorry, I'm chopping this up a little bit. And she'd like you to perhaps talk a little bit about that. I think it's especially really the reconciliation of the masculine and the feminine, and the divine masculine and the divine feminine that's coming up here. So can you speak to that?
First of all, I want to say that it's really incredible that all of this is being revealed and it's out in the open, and I send great prayers and gratitude to the person that came up with this hashtag Me Too way of communication through the computer, because it has given us the doorway for all of us to come out, not only women, but also men, come out and share those things that have happened to us, and so I feel that this is a topic that really, really needs a lot of time and a lot of attention. So for the moment, I just want to honor that it's happening. I want to honor and say that I am so grateful for those that took the leadership and came out and started talking about it. I want to say that I am so grateful to everyone that is able to get on this way of communicating through the internet that we can share. It's an incredible vehicle to be able to share. However, one of the things that touched me a few weeks ago, there was, and please forgive me, I can't remember the lady's name. She was talking about that we as women are going to change things when we sit with our sons and raise our sons to respect the women. And I remember when I heard that, just jumping up and saying, you got it. This is what we got to do. Because 20, 30 years ago, being home in Central America, and everybody knows that south of the border here, the spirit of machismo is very alive and well. And so I remember 30 years ago talking to the women in Central America and Mexico and South America and saying, hey, it has to start with us women, mothers, grandmothers, talking to the boys and saying to them, that's not right. That's not right. And reminding them the preciousness of the female. And so this person was right on. And I believe that that's what it is, that we have to guide our little ones and both, and remind the females on how precious we are and the sacredness of our body, and to speak. And I feel that no matter how young we feel that it's, that too young is not too young, because we're all very vulnerable. Yeah.
On one of our calls, you shared the tradition of the cultural tradition that women go through when they reach their moon cycle, when girls transition into young women, and how that is celebrated at the community level. And I had asked, well, what about the boys? Do the boys have is there any ritual for honoring boys into their manhood, which is not as profoundly distinguishable as it is for a girl when she comes into her moon cycle? And you did point out that it was the boys are present when the girls, first of all, you did point out that the boys are present when the girls are having the ceremony, that they're on the outer circle. And I just thought that was so profound to grow our boys in a culture where they're seeing this womanhood honored. And it's just part of the natural process of being a human. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And that the boys also have their ceremony, but the boys are also very present at that community gathering when the girls are honored. I just thought that was so beautiful. And it didn't diminish the boys. It put them in a position where they just sort of, they were honoring what nature was, how nature was showing up.
Yeah, we go back to the equalness, that we are both as equal. And so, celebrating for one is celebrating for the other. Yeah.
Right. It's that balance of nature that we have forgotten, but we need to remember.
We need to remember, and also to practice it. To absolutely practice it. Yeah.
And we are running a little bit over time, but but speaking of practice, something that you've always been very consistent about reminding us about is the power of making an altar in our home, or going out into our yard and making an altar. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be in a little flower pot. Can you leave us with something we can actually physically go and get our hands in the soil with?
We should, we should. We should be able to do this, to bring into our sacred space a little bit of soil, a little bit of water, to bring in something that would represent the spirit of the sacred breath. That could be like a little whistle or a little feather. And we don't have to go too far. We can put it in a window where the sun is shining and remind ourselves that we're not separate from everything, that those sacred elements of ours. And so it's something that could be done very simply. I know that a lot of the times we think about complication, and we can't be thinking about complication. I have a motto, and I always say to everybody, if it isn't simple, I'm not going to do it. If it's complicated, I'm not going to go there with you. For me, it has to be very, very simple. And I'm just going into that place of absolute simplicity. And one of these days, it's going to get so simple for me, I'm not even going to speak. I'm just going to stand there and be very, very silent. And that's going to be the end of, that's going to be me doing prayer and ceremony all at once, and my talk. Just standing there in silence. That'll be so sweet.
Oh.
How do we take things to the ultimate level? It's that. Yeah, it's like I heard somebody saying that you look at somebody's artwork and sometimes it progresses to something really, really detailed and, very much in going through all the rules and regulations about colors and shadows and blah, 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 blah. And then as they get older, the canvas is barely just like nothing, there's like, it's gone to this diluted everything, and it's just like a very beautiful shadow of maybe something, and I thought to myself, that is so sweet, to progress into something like that. So I'm praying on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to say much love and light to everybody. Sandy, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much to everybody. And
what a beautiful prayer to end on.
Send your beautiful questions, and when I have time, we'll answer those questions, okay? And blessings on the new year. We'll see you again. We're going to follow with the talks of Ish next year. And I just send love and light to everybody. And I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. I thank you so, so much for being the beautiful family that we are, each and every one of us in the 4 directions. Much blessings to you. Bless yourself. Bless yourself every day. Bless yourself.
Thank you, grandmother.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day, evening, everyone. Bless you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.